I've invited Stefano Pogliani from IBM to talk about IBM Connections Engagement Center, and this is a product I am very excited about because it makes it much more easy to both introduce IBM Connections for your users and also to what's the word I'm looking for, to adapt user adaptation, and also to do something. To create something out so that connection doesn't look like it looks like it comes out of the box, more like a social intranet. So I'm sure Stefano can give us more details about that. I've seen a few demos of this product before it became IBM Connections Engagement Center, when it was Felix Besniak and his company that who created this product. Now IBM bought it the very same week that ISBG had our spring meeting, so it was almost like the announcement was made there, which we were very, very happy about. So I'm not going to talk much more. I got one question before the meeting. I got a question asking me, will there be an autumn meeting from ISBG? And yes, there will. It will be most likely be in November in Oslo at BA, but it will take a little different form. We're going to do the meeting with other parts of Common Norway, which ISBG is a part of, so there will be much more attendees there, but there will be some IBM Collaboration Solutions tracks as well. So stay tuned for our announcement about that. We're very excited about that. So then I guess you can just unmute Stefano, and Stefano, take it away.
Hello, thank you for this introduction, and thank you to all the participants. I am Stefano Pogliani, and I work for IBM. I work in France, in IBM France, but I cover Europe, and I am a tech seller in Europe, covering connections and engagement center, a little bit of box, and the integration topics in general. So I will spend the next hour with you on the subject of the engagement center, and I second what Born told before about the enthusiasm and the news that Engagement Center brings to the IBM Connections ecosystem. So, without spending too much time in details, I will just go through a short presentation, and then I will spend most of the time demoing it and answering your questions, if I can answer, of course, but do not feel shy. Please ask questions either through the chat or over the microphone, because I think that this is really a thrilling subject, and it deserves a lot of attention and a lot of questions about how to position, how to sell, what it does, and all the things that we all know. So let's start from the presentation. So I share my screen and I start my presentation. So let's start with a little bit of a game. What do these things have in common? From one side, on the left, you see an IBM connection screen, and on the right side of the screen, you see the Eiger North Face, which is one of the most difficult mountains for people to arrive to the top. So, what do these things that seem very distant have in common? And the answer that I think that everybody that has been using connections so far can probably understand and grab is that they are both difficult to conquer for beginners. And this is, let's say, the the major area in which engagement center is positioning. So engagement center is positioning itself as a way to help beginners or to help clerks to approach connections and the content of connections. And we will see how. So, Connections so far has been very, very much liked by what we call knowledge workers. So this population is a population which work out loud, which love to share things publicly if they can. They are curious, agile-minded, early adopters. Okay, so you see a lot of characteristics of this category of people. So are among all these categories, all these qualifications, I would underline curious, because I think that the experience that the majority of people has on IBM Connection is about engaging in connections using the activity stream. Okay, the activity stream, the home page, is the first impact on connections. And there you see a lot of things that happen around you, but it is a sort of difficult to, for a beginner, for somebody that is not curious, to grab what this home page is about. I see a lot of events, I click, I see a summary in the embedded experience, and then I jump on a blog or on a wiki, in a community, things, concepts that are not that natural to people, okay? So, for knowledge workers, these things are very natural because they love sharing, they love the concept of blogs, community, forums, finding content that others have shared and so on. But for the average employee, these things are a little bit more complex. Okay? So, what about other employees? Other employees and early adopters don't grab initially the meaning of connections and the power that connections can bring to their daily working life. We have tried in these years to push for having early adopters to promote the usage of connections across the colleagues, across other families of users, but we have realized that early adopters alone will not change entirely the culture of a corporation and will not change them quickly, want to change it quickly. So how can we gain more supporters for social internet projects? Okay, we need, in order to gain more traction, we need to access to the owners of the internet, so to the internal communication, for instance. And if you are an internal communication person, you do not approach the sharing, the collaboration in the same way as a knowledge worker does. Okay, an internal communication department approaches collaboration and communication in a top-down, one-to-N way. There is sort of the concept of approving content, making some content official. There is the need to spread some news, some management ideas, some opinions, and to highlight them more than others. There is the need to make sure that important information stay on top. And in their mind, the structure is not the structure, the freedom structure that Connections provides, but it is a structure that is based on organization and hierarchy. And they often require a pixel-perfect layout, because the communication department wants to make sure that the branding of a company is perceived by any employee anytime they access internal information. So today, these two populations, the knowledge workers and the internal communications, have been sort of separated. The knowledge workers love the connections, the internal communication choose something like a web content management approach. And this was decreasing the importance of the content in the enterprise, because the knowledge workers will miss valuable content coming from the internal communication, and the internal communication may lose or may miss some important content coming from connections, from the knowledge workers. Okay, so we have these two pillars. We have with different needs, different approaches, and if you are someone who is responsible for providing a solution for the intranet, you need to find one solution that makes both categories happy. It is not, on the market there are different solutions. Of course, there is connections, and then there is the portal, there is the IBM portal, there are other portals and so on. But if you think from an organization, a corporation point of view, what you really want is not to separate forever the two categories of people, but to provide something that satisfies them both. Something that could allow these two categories of people that are traditionally separate to collaborate, to communicate, to make use of each other content. And here we come, and you will see later these colors and this symbol. So on the left you see the blue symbol on the internal communication part, and on the right you see the horizontal yellow symbol for the peer-to-peer communication. Okay, the idea of Engagement Center on IBM Connections is really to create a single solution that will address the internal communication needs and the peer-to-peer communication, that addresses the need of managers, communication to communicate, the need of clerks to easily consume content that is approved by their management, and on the other side, on the right side, the need of people to more freely collaborate, to have the possibility to express themselves, to construct, to build, to share the intellectual property of a company, and to persist this intellectual property. So this is the ambition of what Engagement Center will provide. Okay, mixing together, providing an environment where top-down communication and peer-to-peer collaboration are merged, where there is the possibility to accommodate both approved content and binding directives and unofficial content. The need to communicate the management and the corporation news, and the need to spur, to spring new ideas and opinions. Okay, so the last line is to make a single platform out of what is called the management intranet and what is called the employees intranet. So, for our customer, at the end, what is really important is not only to have a single version of the truth, but also that different people could access that single version of the truth in the way they are prepared to. If I ask you in this room this question, what if I ask you to visualize in your mind the image associated to the word IBM Connections? Probably what comes into your mind is a picture similar to this one. And probably you will think to this picture, to Frank Adams, or to your characters in your company and so on. Okay, that's I think a general perception of the people. Now imagine for a moment that what matters is not the form, but the content. Not the form, not that image that you have in your mind about the activity stream of connections, a connections community, a connections blog and so on, but think to the content that is built in the platform. That content is the intellectual property of your company, is what matters, is the real value that distinguishes your company from another. And this is really the value, not the form in which that content is displayed to the user. So if this is true, then something like this could also be IBM Connections, because it is a different way to visualize content that has been shared by people, maybe as unofficial content or maybe as an official content. This is really the way in which Engagement Center plays. We have single content that can be consumed differently according to what you are doing in the company at any given moment. Sometimes you are a knowledge worker, but you want to quickly have an understanding of what the communication department is delivering. Sometimes you are in a communication department and you want to create a new idea, so to have people to vote or to go together with new ideas. So it is not a hard separation of the interfaces. We have two interfaces that can satisfy different people at different points in the day. Okay, so as I just said, Engagement Center is just another way to consume the same content that is stored in IBM Connections. So it is just another interface on the top of the content of IBM Connections, which, by the way, is what really matters. Incidentally, the Engagement Center interface is thought to be engaging. So, to engage those people that do not feel comfortable with the traditional social software interface, okay? One product, one content, two interfaces. And what we will see in the demos later is that finally Engagement Center breaks the walls in connections. Sometimes people are a little bit in trouble when they hear the word blog, forum, wiki, ideation blog, activity, and so on. Now, Engagement Center breaks this wall, makes this concept usable in a more simple way, in a way that it is sort of web content management driven. Engagement Center also removes the barrier of social from collaboration. Good or bad, I'm not discussing if it is good or it is bad, but sometimes or sometimes often, not everybody feels confident with the social approach, with this approach of connections where you are your actor of yourself, where you are the principal actor in the intranet. Many people want to do just what they are asked to do, want to follow what their management tells them to follow. They do not want to be distracted by too many information or by the task of searching information themselves. Engagement Center also provides a mean to a streamlined vertical communication, which is sometimes very important to corporations. So, think to connections, it is difficult to say, even if the president of the corporation wants to write a blog that is visible to all the employees, the CEO can have his own blog, can push his own nice ticket in the blog, but it is probably going in between the many communication, the many events that happen in IBM Connections. We want, or the communication department wants, that everybody can see that specific ticket posted by the CEO in the front page, so that everybody can know that this ticket exists, can use it, and can acknowledge it. Incidentally, Engagement Center also provides an elegant and simple way to integrate external content via widgets that are just HTML, JavaScript, CSS. So, this means that the people that create the Engagement Center pages, that create the widgets in an Engagement Center page, are themselves able to create those widgets, to integrate external content without going to the server, without asking the IT, hey IT, I do need that you create a new widget for me and you make it available in the widget catalog, so that people can add to the communities and so on. So it is a change. It is an important change. If you think back to how knowledge workers have been empowered when Excel or when Access were born, these tools were born in order to free the knowledge workers from asking the IT department to create custom reports. The custom report can be created by the final user themselves. Engagement Center gives back to the power users the possibility to create an engaging interface for users without going to the server, doing it by themselves. And finally, it is this one of the, let's say, of a critical point. You can also integrate external content in a very simple way. I mentioned just HTML, JavaScript, CSS, technologies that probably not all the managers know, but knowledge workers just know. Just know enough of them to, for instance, copy and paste an HTML code that is on a Twitter page and paste in a widget in order to display a Twitter feed in an Engagement Center page. This is not an expensive operation. This is an operation that a knowledge worker, even without being too technical, can do by himself. So I could say before going to the demo, Engagement Center is a solution for all intranet requirements, and is a solution that addresses the need to know that internal communication department have, and that is traditionally addressed by web content management solutions. The need to share, that is the strength, traditional strength of IBM Connections and of the enterprise social networks, and they do, okay, by creating custom applications, integrating them to the content, and making the content deliver more power and more information to the final user. So, and this is IBM Connections Engagement Center, ISEC. So, given that, I move to the demo, and probably during the demo, it will be simpler for you to ask me questions. So, as I am sharing the screen, I am not monitoring the chat. So please do not hesitate to interrupt me with questions as soon as I demo, and I try during the demo to enforce and to underline the points that I made during my previous slides. So this is for some of you the first time that you see an IBM Engagement Center interface. So here I am on cloud, on IBM Connections Cloud. The same exists for IBM Connections on-premise. So there is no difference between using Engagement Center in a cloud or an on-premises environment. Here we integrated Engagement Center in the cloud, in a cloud organization that we use as a demo organization. And okay, I go, oops, of course, the demo effect. 1 second, I refresh the page. Okay, I go to what is the home page of this Engagement Center interface associated to my IBM Connections Cloud instance. The first thing is that forgive IBM for having created this polluted menu, but this is just the typical IBM Connections Cloud menu. You have a menu anyway on-premise as well, and what is important here to highlight is that you keep the same menu that you have when you are navigating IBM Connections. So you may want to go back to your files, to your communities, to your profile, and so on. And here, okay, we have a page that is called the Digital Workplace Hub, and this page has a menu, and the menu is on the top. This menu can be placed on the left side or on the right side. The way and this is configured on when you create the page yourself. We will go to the page creation part. The first thing that on this home page I would like to show you is this. So you see here a widget that displays some information. This widget if you follow my mouse, is how do you call it, a flowing widget. Okay, I can click here to move from one page to the other, or you see here I have a little arrow. I can move here to move from one page to the other. Let's click on this. And here you start to recognize something of connections. You recognize that this page, without saying explicitly I am on a blog, is probably coming from a blog which I can like, where I have comments and where I can post my own comment. Okay? And the comment will automatically be posted in Connections. Okay, you see I am a user Watson TA and my comment was posted. So what this widget did was it went into a blog of a community and it displayed some of the information belonging to that blog. Since as this user I am also the administrator of this page, I can see more in detail and I see the configuration here. I'm going to the source, to the blog of a community called DWH. I am fetching the latest free items. And I format this as a slider. Okay, so that was the name that I was missing when I was speaking. So I am not simply pushing links to blog posts where the final user will have to click on the link and he will be moved out of this interface to go back to the traditional connections interface from where it will be difficult to come back. But he can really consume the rich content that is written in the blog entry of a given community from within the interface. In this other widget, okay, we wanted to recommend some people. So we used another type of widget, people selector, and these are by default widgets that are provided together with the product. And I added these people. And if I add, okay, myself, sorry, sorry. I want to add myself. So this is the auto-completion of Macintosh. So this is the auto-completion of the tool, Stefano Pogliani. I save the widget and I see Stefano Pogliani appearing. And by the way, I add automatically the business card of Stefano that is appearing when my mouse hovers over the content. So I create different instances of this widget in order to place in different pages the important contacts, for instance, for a given topic, for a given area of my intranet. Okay, so let me remove now Stefano to avoid to pollute the data. You see, here I am a power user, and I am an administrator, and you can see that I myself, without going to the server, without doing too much programming, after all, I am able to modify the content of a widget. Okay? Then here I have another widget that goes to another blog to grab the information that are required. Here is a widget that of type RSS feed that uses as a feed the activities RSS feed that is available in IBM Connections and format them as a list. Okay, and we customized the logo that is associated. Here is my activity stream. Then let's move and show other things. I have a different page or a sub-page of a company that is office locator. And on this, we see a couple of important things. The first one here is a widget, which is actually a static content wiki page. So, we decided that we wanted to select a given page, office locator, from a wiki that is called DWH Company Wiki, selected, not the latest, but selected, and we wanted to pin it on the top of the page. It will always be there at the top of the page. The second part of the screen is a different widget that you all recognize is a Google Map. And actually, what we did, we picked up an iframe widget and we pasted the content, the URL that the Google Map site gave me in order to display the office, the locator of the companies on the world map. So again, we saw here something new that is a custom widget. So we used an iframe. I could have used a clipping or an HTML widget, which in that case I should fill with some JavaScript, some HTML, some CSS to create my own content. But again, this is done by the power user who is in charge of that page. If I go to the news page, here I see that the owner of this page created a different logo for the page. So here it was added a widget that is probably now you learn this is a static content. So we wanted to display in that corner a given the content of a given wiki page. Here we have a news widget, and you see the possibility to work through it. Okay, and let's look at here. Here we have a Reuters. What it is this? This is a clippings widget, okay, where we clipped from www.reuters.com a part of the site, of the www.reuters.com site, that satisfies the query section.top module. And I added some styling in order to make the widget behave or show with the colors of my enterprise and not the colors of Reuters. In that case, in that other case for the widget here, we used an Atom RSS where you saw in the widget, you saw that we had 3 tabs, Wall Street, CNN, and New York Times. And actually, we configured this Atom RSS widget with 3 channels, 1 from the Wall Street Journal, 1 from CNN, and 1 from the New York Times. Here, it's a Twitter widget. Twitter widget is HTML. So what we did is we grabbed from the twitter.com website this lines that is an embed, okay, from Twitter, and we pasted them directly here in order to have the widget automatically display the content of Twitter, of a given selection on Twitter. And we did a similar thing with Facebook. Okay? So, before moving on the page creation and so on, I want to show you another thing. So here we saw something, okay, we go back to the home. This was our digital workplace hub. That is a set of pages organized in let's say, in a traditional way. Okay, you see here the menu with the sub-menus and so on. That was targeting a specific population. On that same site, we have another engagement center site, let's call it site, which displays different content in a different format. So why I wanted to show you this? Because from that you can, okay, let me move slowly my mouse, and you see the parallax effect that is on my screen. Okay? Incidentally, you see that some widgets are decorated in red, some widgets are decorated in gold, some widgets in green. Okay? They are organized by sections. So this is just another way to present content, okay, using between quotes a different theme. Okay, so I used a CSS for my first engagement center site, a different CSS for another site. I was not forced to have 2 distinct sites. I could have made one site only with different pages, and each page had a different CSS and theme. Okay, we just did this for demonstration purposes. Okay, but this gives you an idea of how easy it is to create pixel perfect layouts. Okay.
Yes. Stefano, we received a question, if
yes.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Roy asks on behalf of one of his colleagues that what would you say are the main differences between this solution that you're presenting now and Facebook at work?
Well, here we are all the content that you see here is content coming from your corporation intellectual property. So connections is behind all this information. If you believe that connections or the richness of connections is the tool, is the strategy, is the platform on which your corporation consolidates the intellectual property, then this provides an interface that could be similarly attractive as a Facebook at work, but without the need of creating a gap between the two communities that I described in my introduction, or between what is your corporation intellectual property and what is the other content that you want to integrate with. So, for me, the value, let's say, I want to be clear on that. The value of this solution is that connections is behind, with all the power of connections, but it makes a difference in the way in which you consume that content. It makes it possible to consume that content from people that are just head-down people. Of course, if your corporate chooses Facebook at work to manage all the internal collaboration, then, okay, we need to do a competitive speech between what are the features or the characteristics of IBM Connections versus Facebook at work. Here we try to say, okay, we realized that there was a gap in the adoption. Here is the answer to the gap to the adoption.
And I think also another big difference is that in Facebook at work, you're stuck with the design in Facebook at work. But by using IBM Connections Engagement Center on top of IBM Connections, you can actually create your own design and your own web page on the internet.
Yes, because you saw this parallax page is done. There is no difference between this and the other one that we saw previously. It is just a difference in the way it is presented, not in the way in which it is constructed. And let me show you one other thing before I go to the administration part more in detail. I wanted to go to another demo environment just because on that I am let's say, is mine. The other one, I was hosted. Okay? So, take this example. This is, probably if you follow me so far, this is a news widget where I fetched the 10 latest information from a blog placed in the SBP news community. Okay? Now, may I ask you the question of how many times, for the users of Connections, how many times in your organization you have more than one community that deals with the same subject? It is not, of course, the same, otherwise you should only have created one community, but for instance, you have a community that is more, a marketing community that is more for the designer, a marketing community that is more for the event organizer, a marketing community that is more for the logistics, and so on. Okay, there are 3 marketing communities that are different because they are under the responsibility of different people. Now, you as a user sometimes want to have the possibility to use the content of all 3 of these communities. You don't care if they come from different communities. Now, in Connections, in the traditional interface of Connections, in order to achieve that, you have first to select the community, A, B, or C. Second, once you are in community B, for instance, you have to select if you want to go to the wiki, to the blog, to the forum, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Now, look at here. I am adding a new channel, and here, look at how simple it should be. Let me refresh the page, sorry. I was preparing it before the demo, so okay, I just start to write N, and I see all the blogs in communities whose names start with N. And I use news, and I save. And now my widget displays information from both communities. So I mentioned when I was doing my slides before that Engagement Center breaks the barrier of blogs, communities, forums, and so on. Here I am concentrating on a user who needs to have an immediate understanding of all the subjects that are related to the topic dealt with by this page. And I can do this. I can create either a single widget that spans more communities, or I can just juxtapose another widget. Okay, so I have two widgets that separate the community, but on the same page. Okay, let me do this. Okay, and so we see how we can create a new widget. So I remove news from here.
I just point out, Stefano, that you have 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, and now I create, customize. Okay. I add a new widget. I choose a type, news overview. I give the name Oslo, create, and you see that my page now is not in a read-only way, but I have these gray things. Okay, so this is the layout that allows me to move widgets around. Okay, so I move this here. This is my newly created widget, and now I customize it. Okay, sorry, I customize it. I should customize it. Probably, sorry, 1 second. Let me put it back where it was. Okay, and I say that the source is news. And so on the same page, okay, well, here it is streamlined, so it is visually it is not appearing in all its possibility, but you see the slider here, okay? So I can have this two widgets that display content coming from different communities on the same page. And at the same time, you saw the administrative, a little bit of the administrative part of the tool. Last but not least, you can personalize the page. So perhaps you want that when you, Stefano, arrive to this page, you see certain widget. When Borg comes to this page, he may see different widgets. So each widget can be personalized, and the way in which it is personalized is by using attributes from the profile. So you overload the content of some of the profile attribute of the user, and based on the value of that attribute, the user can see or cannot see certain content. Finally, of course, here I am a user which is powerful and can customize. The majority of users are not powerful, and thus they can only consume, they cannot customize the content. And this allows really to provide an easy to consume, easy to create web content management interface on the top of Connections. Let's go here, okay, and if you see this, when I say opening community, now yes, I go to IBM Connections and I see that very content that I was showing in a different way using the Engagement Center. And I think that we are approaching, so I don't know if there is time for additional questions.
I haven't received any more questions, but if anyone has any, just ask them right now. Just want to take the opportunity to address one thing. I was asked if a recording of this would be available, because usually we've done that with webinars, and I had to get back to you guys on that. I have to check with Stefano and IBM, but we'll do that in behind the scenes later. And if that's possible, we will of course share it. If not, I'll do a summary in the ISBG blog. So Stefano, thank you very much for this demo. It's a very impressive product, and I think this will make it much easier to get people to adapt to Connections, and it's very cool to see all those widgets you can just create on the fly, and you can just what impresses me most here is that you can actually post once, but it's published in several places. Not like you pointed out, not like today where if you post in a blog in a community, that's where it stays. But with this solution, it can be published across the organization.
Yes. Today, you need to be curious to find the content that you want to read. With the Engagement Center, somebody is in charge of creating pages that will be directly consumable by other people, and thus these pages can contain different content or similar content, just because it is important perhaps to duplicate the visualization of the content in different places. The content is only once written, but it is displayed in different format and in different places.
Okay, great. The next webinar will be the last Tuesday in October. I still haven't announced it yet, but it will be pretty cool. So everybody spread the word about these webinars. Stefano, thank you very much for your time. That was very, very interesting.